Right. Hello. Welcome. On behalf of the Anaheim Ducks and the Anaheim Ducks High School Hockey League, I'd just like to welcome everybody to the virtual college fair. We're excited that you're joining us today. We have some great speakers who will provide lots of important information regarding the path to becoming a collegiate student athlete in the American Collegiate Hockey Association. My name is Greg Hughes. I'm a youth hockey associate with the Anaheim Ducks, and I'll be moderating today's panel. Before we get started, just have a couple of items to note. All attendees will be muted with the video disabled for the duration of the webinar. Please utilize the Q&A function to ask any questions you may have. We'll try to address as many as you can at the end of the event, but in any case following the event, all questions from the Q&A will be compiled into a document with their answers and be distributed to all attendees via email. Just a last reminder that the virtual meet and greet sessions will begin tomorrow at 4 p.m. Pacific time. Those sessions invite students and their parents to meet coaches from participating American Collegiate Hockey Association schools and to ask any questions about the specific programs or universities that they represent. The virtual meet and greet schedule will be sent out immediately following this webinar. So without further ado, I'd like to introduce our first speaker, which is Craig Barnett. So I'll have him join his video with me here, and we will get started. Perfect. Okay, so Craig Barnett is the current executive director of the American Collegiate Hockey Association, the ACHA, which is the national governing body of non-NCAA college hockey in the United States. Craig is originally from Toronto, Canada, and played college hockey in the US before playing professionally for 2 years in the Rangers organization. After his playing days, Craig started his college coaching career, which lasted 15 years, including a 5-year stint as an NCAA Division I head coach. Craig was an athletic director at an NCAA Division III school on the East Coast and at an NCAA Division II school in the Midwest, which sponsored men's and women's Division I hockey. Craig then spent 7 years as an NCAA commissioner in the sports of women's lacrosse and men's volleyball prior to taking over as executive director of the ACHA in 2018. In addition to his role with the ACHA, Craig is entering his 8th season, now in a part-time role, with the North American Hockey League, which is a Tier 2 junior league, as Director of NCAA Compliance and Education. So, Craig, thank you for joining us. We're happy to have you.
Great. Thank you very much for the introduction, Greg. And on behalf of the American Collegiate Hockey Association, I'd like to thank the Anaheim Ducks and Greg and Jamie for putting this together. I think having these types of programs are very important for many prospective student athletes and their families to know about the different options out there to be able to play, continue playing hockey at the college level. So I very familiar with the California market and just how player development continues to grow out there and improve out there. So it's such an opportunity for us to be part of this. It wasn't too many years ago. I remember watching the NCAA Division I Frozen Four when Western Michigan played in it, maybe 6-7 years ago, and there were 7 California kids born. That were born in California on that Western Michigan team. So again, hockey continues to develop thanks to many of the NHL communities on the West Coast. My plan is to talk just a little bit about the ACHA as a whole and kind of have you understand what we do and so forth. It's great to have Kris Walsh on this panel as well. As Kris is a current coach in the ACHA in Northern Arizona, so Kris can give you some more information during his presentation on more of in the weeds and what it's like to be on a campus and from a team perspective. So I am going to try and share my screen with you here. I have a presentation that I won't present in full, but I like to use it as a reference for you. So hopefully you could hopefully you'll be able to see this.
That's perfect, Craig.
Okay.
Screen share is perfect.
Perfect. So we again, the ultimate goal here is to play college hockey, which is, toward the top of the ladder of development. Many of the players that are on this seminar certainly probably started off playing in the USA Hockey American Development Model and moving on up that ladder. And there's a lot of different paths, as you know right now, playing high school hockey. Also, coming through the youth hockey programs and so forth. And you have these junior options out there as well. But, the path is there's no one perfect path. It's something that you need to ask questions and look at and decide for you which path is the best for you when you combine both academics and sports, in this case, being hockey. So, the ACHA itself, as Greg mentioned, we're the national governing body of non-NCAA hockey. At the NCAA level, there's 60 Division I programs. There will be 61 the following year after this season. There's about 84 NCAA Division III programs. ACHA, this past year, we had 461 schools that played in the ACHA. You can see a map on your screen there. That's not a complete map. But, of our 461 schools, they play in one of 5 different divisions. We have 3 divisions on the men's side, Division I, II, and III. And we have women's Division I and II that compile our total membership last year of 461 schools. What's unique about this is we're located in 48 states. So when you look at, the aspirations of many of you that might want to move on to play NCAA hockey, with 60 D1 schools and 84 D3 schools, it's still kind of a regional type of map to play NCAA. Now we do have Arizona State now at the NCAA level, and the addition before that was Penn State, and both those schools were very successful at the ACHA level before they went NCAA. But to have the opportunity, when you look at the best school for you academically, and to be able to combine your athletic career, to have ACHA hockey programs in 48 states is pretty impressive, and one of the reasons why I was excited to take this job 2 years ago. Back when I was playing junior hockey and looking to go to the States, I never knew that there was college hockey in California or Arizona or so forth. And, that might have been a difference maker for me way back in those days. So just real quickly on the men's side, Division I, we actually will have 72 teams this year at the men's Division I level. And we have 8 conferences, and we have a handful of independent teams that do not participate in a conference. Division I is a national type of schedule. This year will be a little different, obviously, just because of the pandemic situation, and there's many limitations to travel and so forth. But in a typical year, whatever typical will be moving forward, this schedule is very competitive, a lot of travel, very, very good hockey. Our top 25 to 30 teams at the D1 level are extremely, extremely good. At the men's Division II level, last year we had 190 schools. We have many Division II programs on the West Coast as well. And our D2 division is broken up into 4 regions. And they play mostly a regional schedule. There's some pretty good travel involved, especially out west. With those divisions out there, there's a lot of travel that happens. But that's kind of a breakdown of our men's Division II footprint there. And at the D3 level, again, we divided up into 4 regions. We may be shrinking to 3 regions this year just to do some realignment. We'll have about 120 schools competing this year in the ACHA at the Division III level. They play a regional schedule as well, not as much travel until postseason, when that starts with regional play and the national tournament play. I talked about our women's programs. Basically, why would you want to play in the ACHA? Well, there's an opportunity to find a school for you that has what you want academically and has what you want athletically, so you can find your own level of competition per se. We have schools in 48 states. I think that's a huge asset, as we've already talked about. One of the big differences between ACHA hockey and the NCAA is we provide 5 years of hockey eligibility. So that's if it takes you a little longer, the typical graduation rate, and one of our panelists can maybe talk more about that when you hear from the admissions side. But sometimes it takes a little bit longer than 4 years to complete your bachelor degree. To have 5 years of eligibility, we feel is a benefit to many of our student athletes. Then there's the cost factor. As Greg mentioned, I've been part of a junior league now for 8 years, helping those kids map and go through the process to play college hockey. And some of these guys are playing their 3rd year or 4th year of junior hockey. In most junior hockey is a pay-to-play model by USA Hockey, which means you're paying to play junior hockey each year at the tier 3 junior level. So at some point, that's a family decision. How much longer do you want to pay to play junior hockey if it's year 2 or 3 or 4, compared to maybe investing that money into let's start college. Let's find a school where you're going to play college hockey at a strong level, and maybe filter that money, those resources into the education part. So again, there's no right answer to that, but there's certainly, from a family situation, it's certainly something to consider. We have every year we have approximately 13,000 players and coaches, because we're such a large association. Therefore, the alumni of the ACHA is very vast and deep. We have a lot of sponsors that provide, that partner with us. We're very proud about our partnership here with the NHL teams and working with their NHL communities like this on presenting about, post-high school opportunities. We work with the NHL Coaches Association. I had a meeting again with them this week talking about diversity and inclusion, talking about coaching opportunities and so forth. So we're very fortunate to be part of, partnerships with NHL for different reasons to promote our student athletes. Just like hopefully at the high school level, where you give back, and our programs, we're very proud of all of our membership that do a lot with their communities. They get their student athletes out in the communities and help and give back to those communities that support them at the college level. So not very different than you do at the high school level, hopefully, and at the junior level, certainly. But again, giving back to younger kids and to kids that don't get those opportunities is very important for us. And in fact, at the end of the year, we one of our big awards to each division is a community award. And it's probably the most difficult decisions to make for us. The MVP award winners, sometimes those decisions aren't as difficult of who we give the award to from a community aspect. We talked about the NHL a little bit. We do have our national championships every year, and we bring all 5 divisions to one location and have a huge kind of festival. And we've been fortunate to be working with NHL cities. Actually, prior to Dallas in 2019, the ACHA was in Columbus with the Blue Jackets for 2 years. So really, this model of having our big national tournament with all 5 divisions, so 72 teams come to our national tournament at a city with it, supported and hosted by an NHL city with the NHL programs is kind of neat as well. This year, we're still on target for Boston. We pushed our national tournament back to April this year because most of our teams will not start till January. And this gives us about 3 more weeks in the spring to get their schedule in. But we've awarded our tournament this year to Boston. Next year, we're going to be going to St. Louis. And 2023 and beyond, we'll start working on that once this season gets underway. We broadcast all of our games. live through our streaming channel, ACHA TV. It's quite the production. We're very proud of this group. There's just some pictures there of our production team and what we were able to accomplish here in 2019 in Dallas. Again, it's a nice thing for our 72 teams that are participating. It's for their parents and grandparents and friends and family back home that are unable to attend the national tournament. And probably one of the biggest things for me that I love to promote the ACHA with is the academic piece. Again, when I develop these marketing tools and I go out and I speak to prospective student athletes and parents, as we're doing here, is that I looked at some of the benefits and values of the ACHA. And when I looked at the top 25 universities in the world, according to Newsweek 2 years ago, the top 25 universities in the world, 17 of those 25 are located in the United States, which is pretty impressive. Of those 17 schools, 14 of them have ACHA hockey programs. So, again, we when you go to college and you're able to be a student athlete, student is first, and the academic piece is the most important piece. And, again, this is a value I feel is very strong that the ACHA has. So I'm going to be more than happy to answer any questions at the end of this. Regarding the ACHA as a whole. Our information is on our website, achahockey.org. It actually is not going to look like this now. We just rolled out our new website. We'll have an official announcement on that next week. But when you go to achahockey.org, it's going to look a little different now, a lot more user-friendly. So we're very proud of that. But I appreciate your time. If you're considering playing college hockey, I strongly suggest that when you look at many different schools, that you look at some schools that have ACHA hockey, and I hope I was able to answer some questions through these slides for you. So thank you, and I'm going to pass this back over to Greg.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Craig. Great information. Really like, especially highlighting some of those top universities in the ACHA. It's really, I think, important to see for a lot of prospective students as well. Perfect. So I will stop this here. Okay. So next up, I have Vanessa Lewis. Vanessa is a outreach and recruitment counselor from California State University, Fullerton. As a previous Titan herself, she's excited to see others wanting to learn about Cal State Fullerton's campus. She's happy to be here to answer any general questions you may have, including admissions, major interests, campus involvement, virtual services, and how to be proactive now with the college admissions process. So Vanessa, thank you for joining us. I'll pass it along to you.
Awesome. Okay, I'm going to share my screen here. All right, let me get the PowerPoint started. All right, so good afternoon, everyone. My name is Vanessa Lewis, and I'm very happy to be here on this Sunday afternoon. And I want to piggy off what Craig said, what he said about being a student first is most important. I understand sports is very important to your life when it comes to hockey and being competitive. Keep that competitive nature and carry it over to to academics, and it can really help you along the way. So to get started, again, my name, I'm a part of the Cal State Fullerton, and as I move forward, I want to be happy to say that I'm a proud Titan, as a previous Titan. We got that name actually from a intercollegiate alpha race, the first one in human history, and it actually took place on our campus. And the way we got the Tuffy told to us was that it was kind of unofficially adopted. Tuffy started showing up on campus, notebooks, sweaters, and we kind of unofficially adopted from there. So in 1960s, we had Tuffy as our mascot. But before that, we had a starting class of 452 students, starting in 1957, very, very small. And as we grew, we're about 40,000 students strong. We're the 12th campus to be established out of the 23 campuses in the Cal State system. And referring to athletics, we do have about 15 Division I athletic programs, from basketball, softball, tennis, track and field. So if you ever want to become a Titan, really, again, always become a student first, but always do your research on the campus you do have an interest from. And maybe not the location as well, right? We're located in Fullerton in Orange County. Some simple facts is that we're 7 miles away from Disneyland and 22 miles away from Los Angeles. So if you want to get to either one of those places, are fairly close. Some unique majors to highlight is we do have a Bachelor's of Fine Arts, musical theater, international business, Bachelor's of Science, and a Master's of Science in Computer Engineering. So yes, you can combine those two majors here at Cal State Fullerton and direct into nursing. That is one of our most popular programs here. Next, so as we are talking about Cal State Fullerton is made up of 8 academic colleges. College of the Arts, College of Business and Economics, College of Engineering, Computer Science, just to name a few. Within those colleges, we do promote and offer 110 degrees and programs. That is 55 undergraduates and 55 graduates. Within there, you can also earn certifications and credentials, credentials moving towards being a teacher. As mentioned before, we have around 40,000 students, and that is referring back to fall 2019 statistics. As fall 2020 comes to an end, we'll develop those statistics and update those. The average age for our campus is 23, still very young. And we have about, from May 2019, we had 302,000 graduates. And proudly, I'm proud to say I'm one of those. And I know that many students are interested in Cal State Fullerton, and it'll be part of those proud statistics right there. We actually have a fairly large campus. It's 241 acres. We're surrounded by the freeway at 57 and around Yorba Linda State College in Nutwood. We have about 31 buildings on campus that are departments filled with extra support for students, those academic colleges, and athletics. And as for this crowd, I understand that the top 5 majors for the freshmen are business administration, computer science, criminal justice, public health, and psychology. Most common ones also follow with the transfer students, such as psychology and business administration. If you do have more questions, again, we can always ask at the end, just to kind of highlight. Some statistics I do want to share here that we're also very proud of is that we're #1 in the CSU to graduate women Latinas. That was effective in 2018. #3 and amongst public school list, according to the US News and World Report. And we also have the best value rankings amongst top institutions, according to Forbes. So these designations are just a glimpse of what we offer. And I know the people also on this PowerPoint or this event, they have their own statistics, just what is best for the student, what you want to get out of it. And to quickly move forward through it all, I understand you're still young and trying to figure out, athletics, academics, what I want to do. So I just wanted to note some takeaways for students to think about and enjoy the process of applying. The application for CSUs, UCs, independent colleges, they're all different. Just enjoy the process, always ask for help with those. Remain competitive in the sense of your athletics and competitive sense of your grades. GPA and deadline driven for sure. #3, you always want to research your desired campus, researching at how to get more involved, what the statistics overview, how far is it from my home? Do I want to live on campus? So those are some areas of interest. To get started with Fullerton, you're absolutely welcome to take your phone and take a picture of this or screenshot it. But you can go to www.fullerton.edu/SSC, and that stands for Student Success Centers. And those are housed in each academic colleges where graduation specialists, career specialists, where they can polish up your resumes and cover letters, and those are really important for jobs. They can help you with academics, making sure you're staying on track and not falling behind. and ask any general questions you have about your major to kind of get you started. Number 4, deadlines and admissions requirements. As mentioned before, CSUF is deadline and GPA driven when admitting students. Number 5 is campus involvement. Even though we're virtual, there's still a lot of campus involvement occurring virtually through, we have something called Discover Fest that just occurred on September 3rd. And usually it's held on campus. A lot of white tents on campus shown where clubs and programs want to promote you to salsa dancing club, association of engineering, or whatever it may be. There's a club for mostly everything. And if there's a club where it's not there, you're always welcome, as if you do get accepted, to try to promote a club, generate it, get it on paper and start it as yourself. Number 6 is social media. It's very popular when it comes to researching your school, because a lot of schools now, being virtual, they are creating accounts for students to make sure you're aware of the next steps, how to be best prepared. There might be information sessions to be aware of. So just to get started, CSUF outreach is a good way to start. Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, to start getting your feet wet in the process. And number 7, asking questions. That's always important. Ask as many questions as you want. A resource you can use is actually, you can take out your phone and scan these QR codes, or take a screenshot, whatever you prefer. But campus tours and the transfer center are here to help, especially live. You're not talking to a computer, you're talking to real people, especially they're called Titan ambassadors or transfer peer advisors. And they are students who are taking classes. They're current students, and they're also working for the campus. So they know the ins and outs, how to best prepare. So if you take a picture of these QR codes, you can bookmark them in your phone, or you can always go to fullerton.edu/OR and go under the tabs. Again, you can have 25-minute appointments. You can have 20-minute appointments talking through Zoom meetings. You can go on a virtual tour where we take you actually through the computer, a virtual tour of the campus, going into the library, how it looks, going towards athletics, the student rec center, and you can ask questions on there as well. And to wrap it up, is another QR code that takes you to our website, again with the arrow pointing towards the csuf.edu/OR. This takes you towards our fall webinar series for those students who want to learn more about how to get started with their Cal State application. And we take you through their quadrants, the most common mistakes, and ask you questions live. That also goes through financial aid and any last minute questions you have about the application. Any students out there interested in nursing, we do have a separate webinar for that on this website. And all you have to do is just register, click on the link and register, enter your name and email, and just mark it on your calendars. Other than that, just always connect with us, ask questions at csufor@fullerton.edu, and we'll get back to you as soon as possible. And that's all I have for Cal State Fullerton.
Awesome. Thank you very much, Vanessa.
No problem.
Great information. I appreciate you highlighting, especially the admissions process, kind of what that looks like. That's perfect. All right. So next up, I'll change these over here. Next up, we have Erica Gates. Erica is a financial aid counselor at Chapman University, located in Orange. She's worked in financial aid for the past 9 years. So she will go over the financial aid application process, as well as the different forms of financial aid. And I will turn it over to Erica. Thank you, Erica.
Thank you, Greg. Hi, everyone. Thanks for joining today. I will be speaking about financial aid in general, not just financial aid at Chapman. So I'm going to share my screen now. Okay, here we go. Okay, financial aid. Yay, let's go over it, because now you know sort of what the hockey programs look like in college, how to apply to college, and now let's talk about how you're going to afford college. It's pretty pricey. Okay, so what is financial aid? Well, financial aid is basically, it's money for college that consists of funds provided to students and families to help pay for college. So there's a couple different types of financial aid. There is the self-help aid, and there's also gift aid. Gift aid is the aid that we really like. So self-help aid, that consists of loans. So that's you borrowing money that you'll eventually have to pay back, as well as work study employment. So if you want to work on campus. And then there's gift aid. That's the aid we really like. So that consists of scholarships and grants, and that's just free money that you're never going to have to pay back. Okay, so where is all of this financial aid coming from? There's a few different sources. The first source is the federal government. That's very nice of them. They're going to give you maybe a few grants, maybe some federal loans. There's also state financial aid, as well as financial aid from colleges and universities. So especially if you're looking at going to a private school such as Chapman, the bulk of your financial aid will most likely come from the college. There's also private sources, and so I'd really encourage you to start doing your research on outside scholarships. There's a lot of different organizations that exist in the world that offer private scholarships, and so look at the different scholarship search engines. FastWeb is a really popular one. And then the last source of financial aid are employers. So ask your parents to ask their boss, hey, does this business, does your organization, are they willing to sponsor my student? Do you have any scholarships for us? Always ask. Okay, now let's get ready to FAFSA. That's our cute little Pete the Panther mascot down there. So FAFSA, that is a word that you're going to be hearing a lot of in the future if you haven't heard of it yet. FAFSA is the free application for federal student aid. And please pay attention to that first word, free. Do not pay to fill out this application. Do not pay somebody else to fill it out for you. It's supposed to be free. There's a lot of scams out there. So just make sure you're not ever paying anyone to apply for money. That doesn't make sense, right? Okay, so your FAFSA, the free application for federal student aid, what is it? It's going to collect demographic and financial information from you, the student, and your parents, and it's going to use all of that information to calculate your expected family contribution, or for short, your EFC. And this is sort of like a score. So the FAFSA is going to take all of your information and it's going to calculate your score. And then that score is sent out to every college you apply to, and the college will use your EFC to determine your financial aid amount. And the FAFSA is also available in English and Spanish. So the FAFSA is available starting October 1st prior to the academic year you'll be attending. So that means current high school seniors, you'll be able to fill out the FAFSA pretty soon, just around the corner, just in a couple weeks. It's going to be available. Don't be intimidated if you feel like that's too soon, you don't know what you're doing yet. It's okay. You can fill it out all year long. We do have some priority deadlines, and so it depends on which state the college you're going to be attending is in. So for California, the deadline is March 2nd. But pay attention to the different colleges that you'll be applying to. They have different deadlines, but it's usually around the March 2nd time frame. But just know that FAFSA is available in October every year. Now, what are you going to be filling out on this application for financial aid? Well, for students, you're going to be putting, your name, your birthday, your social security number, your citizenship status, the rights to your firstborn child. No, I'm just kidding. It'll feel like that though. So then they'll ask for your parent information. And for parents, they're going to ask you all of your tax information, your income, your assets, your untaxed income. Yeah, it's a lot. There's a lot of questions. And just so you know that we'll be asking for the tax information of the prior year. So for students that are current high school seniors, you'll be attending college fall 2021. It'll have the tax information from 2019. So it's always the prior year. Okay, so how does it work? So CPS stands for the Central Processing System. So you as a student, you're going to be filling out your FAFSA. All that information is going to be sent to the CPS, Central Processing System, with your EFC score, and they're going to send that information to every college that you list on your FAFSA, so every college that you're applying to. And so every college will get your EFC, and they'll use that to offer you your financial aid award letter. Now you may be thinking, okay, well, if this is my 2019 tax information, that's not fair because in 2020, heaven forbid, I lost my job or I had a reduction of income. You know, we've been seeing that a lot, unfortunately. So don't worry, it's not the end all be all. Just contact the financial aid office. Every college has a financial aid office. We're here to help you, to guide you through this process. Every financial aid office has an appeal or review process or system. And so there's usually an appeal form, and they'll ask for you to submit a letter saying, you know, oh, the FAFSA didn't let me explain. Yes, my income's really high, but this happened. So just don't worry, just contact the financial aid office. We'll help you through that process. Here's some examples of special circumstances. So if your parents are supporting your grandparents, if your parents are getting a divorce, if they've lost their job, if you have really high out-of-pocket medical expenses, these are just some common scenarios that we see for appeals. Now, just remember, there are a lot of resources for you. I know that this is a lot of new information, but don't worry, you have a lot of help. I'd say the #1 resource is studentaid.gov. It's never too early to check out that website. Studentaid.gov is where you're going to be filling out the FAFSA. That's where, if you take out any loans, you'll do all of your steps for your loans on that website. And then also check out the financial aid websites of every college that you're interested in. So if you're interested in Chapman, our website's chapman.edu/finaid. But every college that you're interested in, just check out their financial aid website, see what they have going on. And then lastly, another resource that I really like to recommend is igrad.com. It's a free money management tool. Here is a screenshot of what studentaid.gov looks like. Familiarize yourself with this website. Again, this is where you're going to be filling out the FAFSA, studentaid.gov. And finally, reach out to us, please, if you have questions. I know that financial aid, it's like learning a new language the first time you go about it. Here's the contact information for Chapman Financial Aid Office. Even if you're not going to go to Chapman, it's okay. You can call us, you can email us. I'd be happy to help answer any of your questions. Something to note, we are currently working remotely, as a lot of college staff are. Hopefully we'll be back on campus soon. But that about finishes it up. So thank you for having me, and I'll pass it back to you, Greg.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Erica. That was, I think, great information for everyone that's interested in applying for financial aid. I can remember filling out the FAFSA myself when I was applying for colleges. So next up, I have Kris Walsh. So let me start this here. And Kris is the general manager of the Northern Arizona University Ice Jacks hockey team. They have 2 teams, Division II and Division III in the ACHA. And Kris is also the assistant coach for the Division II men's hockey team. He's an NAU alumni, former Ice Jack himself, and has been a coach at NAU since the 2009-10 season. Kris will provide some insight into the ACHA college hockey experience, including the level of competition, time commitment, schedule, and just kind of what to expect there. So Kris, thank you very much for joining us.
Hey, thanks, Greg. Thanks for having me. Just want to reach out to Jamie and Greg. Special thanks for having us on. Also, the Anaheim Ducks for putting this together. This is a very beneficial thing for all the participants, and real fortunate to be part of this. Being involved with the ACHA over the past dozen years has been quite the extraordinary experience. Been able to travel to many, many states, competing against different programs, which has been amazing. Getting to compete at some of the highest levels, being part of the D2 and D3 programs here at Northern Arizona. Been to several national tournaments and regional tournaments as well, put on by the ACHA, and I can tell you firsthand that they treat our student athletes just like varsity athletes at all of these NCAA schools. They really take the time and the effort to put on a very good event. There's a lot of time and effort and coordination with our various sponsors, and the NHL has been a huge support over the last few years, and I've been able to be part of that. So very thankful to be part of the ACHA. Started as a player in early 2000 and took over as coach, like Greg said, for the university D3 program in the late 2000s, and just couldn't leave the organization as far as that was concerned. A lot of very good people. We really promote our athletes at the highest level. I know at Northern Arizona University, speaking on our behalf, one of the major things that we promote is respect, hard work, and dedication. Obviously, like Craig mentioned earlier, schooling is number one for us and all of our student athletes. You can't play hockey unless you're getting your schooling done. So we try to promote that in all aspects of what we're doing, whether we're carrying ourselves in the community or we're, at home in our arena, and how we conduct ourselves on the ice. So that's just something that has been, I could say firsthand, been a very good experience in the ACHA. We recruit kids from all over the nation at our university, as well as most other universities, looking at players from anywhere from AA youth hockey all the way through junior A. And so, really there's a wide range of skill abilities that can come and play ACHA hockey. Whether you're playing an ACHA D1 or all the way down through ACHA D3, even into the women's divisions. Very, very competitive hockey, night in and night out, and very fortunate to be part of that organization. To wrap it up, I would just say that I know these are interesting times with the pandemic. There's a lot of uncertainty within the ACHA and within these club hockey programs. I would just say be patient, just like everything else that's going on. We're going to be back, and we're going to be back stronger than ever, because we're developing protocols and policies to make sure that these organizations continue to carry on. So if you have any questions, feel free to reach out to the Q&A. I will be on the team chat on Thursday afternoon, 4:45. So happy to answer any questions specific to NAU at that time. Again, thank you, Greg, so much, and Jamie, for putting this together, and the Anaheim Ducks, and I'm proud to be part of it. Thanks for having me.
Awesome. Perfect. Thanks, Kris. Looks like we got a couple questions during your segment as well. So if we have time at the end, maybe we can address those. But thank you. I think that's good information as well. And like you said, he will be available for the virtual meet and greet later in the week. So next up, I have Jason Effertz. I'm going to get his video going here. Jason is a marketing coordinator with the Anaheim Ducks. He's been with the Ducks for the past 5 years. Jason grew up playing hockey in San Diego for the Junior Goals before moving on to play his junior hockey in Billings, Montana. And then following that, he played 1 year of NCAA Division III hockey at UMass Dartmouth before transferring to the University of Arizona, where he played 3 years of ACHA Division I hockey. So Jason will discuss his path to college hockey, NCAA versus ACHA, kind of level of play, as well as other items, and key takeaways from his playing career. So Jason, thank you very much for speaking with us.
Awesome. Thanks, Greg. Thank you for that great introduction. I want big thank you to Greg, Jamie, and everyone on this panel for making this happen. I know that a little over 10 years ago, when I was going through this same exact process of figuring out where I wanted to go, these resources were not available to me. I mean, growing up in Southern California, specifically San Diego, it was kind of left on my own to figure out where I was going to go. I didn't grow up in a hockey family. None of my family members, played hockey in the past. I was kind of the first one and kind of, exploring my own path. So as Greg said, I grew up in San Diego, split my time between playing roller hockey and ice hockey pretty much my entire life. Played for the Junior Goals travel team. And when I was in high school, I kind of got to the point of trying to figure out, I want to play college hockey. I don't know how to make this happen, but I couldn't imagine going to college without playing hockey in some form. And so I didn't really know what that looked like. I grew up going to UCLA football games, basketball games. My family is a huge UCLA family, got 2 alumni. So I grew up around that big college experience. So I knew that was something that I'd always admired and wanted to be a part of. But I also knew that, most likely I was looking at a potential NCAA Division III school, which, as Craig mentioned earlier, those are often very regional back east. And at the time, my sister was actually going to school in Massachusetts, so I had become familiar with some of the NCAA Division III schools and what my options were. So senior year of high school, I was trying to figure out what to do, and I ended up going to some showcases, just trying to get my name out there, trying to meet coaches, trying to network, trying to meet anyone I could to get the information that I needed, and ultimately ended up catching the eye of a junior team in Billings, Montana. At the time, it was called the Billings Bulls. Unfortunately, they're not around right now. But had 2 great years there. And over the course of that time, I was lucky to work with the coach and some other resources to to start learning more about the college experience. And similar to, I think, a lot of people that misunderstand the ACHA experience, I think, when you hear club hockey, you kind of discount it as, maybe it's not as good, or, I should go to NCAA, or that's what I should ultimately strive for. So I will say that after 2 years of juniors, it was recommended to me that, rather than pursue my last year of juniors and a 3rd year, and similar to the, Craig mentioned with the financial commitment, it was, my family decided, hey, rather than pay for another year of junior hockey, we think it's probably time for you to go to college. And so I began, full-time pursuing college and what I'm going to do. It ultimately came down to 2 schools, UMass Dartmouth, which is NCAA Division III. It's about an hour south of Boston. And my other school of choice at the time was actually the University of Oklahoma, which is ACHA Division I. Unfortunately, just with my family situation, and obviously it's, when you're talking about recruiting trips, et cetera, it's, it's not covered for us, for a lot of schools. So I had to do that stuff on my own. I was lucky enough to get to visit UMass Dartmouth's campus. I liked it. It was small. It was a small little community school, but everything hockey program wise seemed great. But unfortunately, I was never able to actually visit the University of Oklahoma campus and never do like a tour. I had to look at photos and kind of base my decision off that. And ultimately, I will be the first to admit, when it came down, I was like, I've always dreamed of playing NCAA hockey. I'm going to chase that. I'm going to chase that dream. And I went and played NCAA D3 at UMass Dartmouth. And that took away from that experience, that large school experience that I was hoping for. But I figured, hey, I'm getting to play NCAA hockey. That's all I've ever wanted. That's all I've thought about growing up. So I'm going to do it. The experience, I will say, was great. It was a lot of fun to, the level of play was fantastic. It was, kids are very talented. We had a lot of good games against good schools. We got to travel, play up and down the East Coast. But ultimately during the year, it was just, it wasn't really the experience I was looking for in a school. And I didn't know if I could see myself spending 4 years there. I think I had thought maybe hockey would overtake and discount some of the things that I was looking for in terms of the college experience and wanting to be a big part of an alumni base and getting those connections. And as the school I was at was only about 7,000, 8,000 kids, which was actually only about double what my high school was. So throughout that first year, I kind of spoke with some people and looked around and figured out what I wanted to do with my next 3 years. And I looked at the opportunity to transfer, and I wasn't sure where to go. I thought, I've always wanted that big time college experience. So how do I tie that in, that big school, the big alumni, that great experience with, fantastic hockey and play at a high level? So ultimately it came down, I learned about the University of Arizona, and it happened that worked out. They had just hired a new coach who had coached against me when I was playing juniors in Montana, and I happened to just reach out to him, express my interest, say, I want to learn more about your program. And he reached out right away, called me. We had many great conversations, and he talked me through everything about the ACHA experience. And I will say, from the minute I set foot on campus to the day I left, everything you're hearing about the ACHA experience is true. You are treated as a high-level athlete from the beginning to the end. My school in particular at the time, we were on the ice for practice 4 days a week, had games Friday, Saturday. and then off Sunday, unless, you know, tough games during the week and maybe coach thinks we need an extra practice on Sunday. But throughout the entire time, you're on the ice a lot. You are training with your teammates in the gym, doing off-ice training. And for me, I was able to go to the University of Arizona and graduate from the Eller College of Management, which is a terrific business school. It gave me a great opportunity. It was fantastic academically. It gave me everything I was looking for in a school. So the thing I want to get across to you is there is not one correct path, especially coming from Southern California. I know it's hard. I know some of you may not have the connections just that a lot of maybe East Coast kids have. I will say it's good to see that California is developing and getting a lot more attention in the hockey world. But there isn't one correct path for every student, for every kid. Some of you may enjoy that small college community. You may be overwhelmed by a large, college, as to where some may want that big time, maybe you're a big college football fan, college basketball, et cetera. You want to tie that in with hockey. I think there's many opportunities. I think for me to get across is just don't at any point when someone says club hockey, don't think of it that way. Please, the ACHA is a terrific organization. I was very fortunate enough to be able to go to the national tournament in one of the 3 years Arizona, and it was a first-class tournament from the beginning to the end. I had an amazing time. It was great to watch hockey from the beginning of the day to the end of the day, go to your own practice, compete in the games. I had a great time. I was able to meet a lot of amazing people at the University of Arizona, specifically in the hockey program. I'm still close with a number of people on the program and teammates today. And actually, it's kind of how I ended up in this position, honestly, in terms of Craig talked about the alumni network. A kid who played the year before I got to Arizona, he was a senior. He was around campus, was finishing up school. And so I got to know him just because he had previously played for the team. And he ended up landing an internship with the Ducks. And so about a year or two later, I was graduating college, trying to figure out what I wanted to do with my professional life. And I saw what he was doing and I reached out to him. I simply, we were never super close in college. We weren't, we were never teammates. But just we had that connection that we played for the same program, went to the same school. And I reached out and he gave me all the information he needed. And he actually introduced me to his boss and people in the organization that I needed to know. And I actually was able to land that in the same exact internship following his time, which actually ended up working out because I was able to then turn that into a full-time job at the Anaheim Ducks. So again, I encourage you, there's not one correct path for every student. And player, some of you may want to play juniors after high school. Some of you may want to go direct to college. It's hard to say. I just encourage you to keep your options open, try and network, try and meet coaches, even if it's just emailing coaches, asking about their program. A lot are very open, want to talk to you. There's so many ways to share your highlights and the way you play nowadays. And there's so many great connections, especially here in the Anaheim Ducks. You guys are competing in the Anaheim Ducks High School Hockey League. I know Greg, myself, there's a number of people in the organization have played at a good level and are willing to share our experiences, willing to talk to you guys, and willing to give any advice that you are looking for throughout this time. And I know everyone on this panel is too. So, as you look to see what you're going to do in the next year or two, keep your options open and don't be afraid to ask questions and reach out to as many people as possible. And that'll do it for me, Greg.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Effertz. That was, or Jason, excuse me. That was great information. I think it's really important to highlight a little bit of the differences, but also, like you said, kind of what it looks like in the ACHA and how well run everything is.
Yep.
Perfect. So that concludes all of our speakers. So I think we'll take the last 6 minutes that we have here on the panel to answer some of the questions. So I saw there were some questions in the Q&A that were answered. Thank you, Kris and Craig, for answering those. But we have a few that are open. So at this point, I'll invite everyone here back on our videos, and then we will go through a few of those. I think a good one to start will be, let me see here, will be the Fafsa. So this one I think will be for Erica. It is who completes the Fafsa, students or parents?
Good question, and the answer is both. So both the student and the parent will need to create an FSA ID. That's your login, and there is a student section and a parent section.
Perfect. Awesome. Thank you, Erica. So I will mark that that one has been answered live. All right. So next up, well, it looks like the other ones are answered. So I'll just run through a couple of the answered questions. So one of the questions is, which Cal State schools have hockey teams? Thank you, Craig, for answering that. So there are currently 22 ACHA schools in California, and we can compile a list and make sure that gets sent out to all attendees following this event, as well as including which ones are specific to the Cal State system. Kris went over a couple of the questions about what it's like to play in the ACHA. So the typical schedule for an ACHA player. Kris, that was perfect. Typical week, 2 to 3 practices, 2 to 4 games, depending on the week, and then 30 to 40 games per season. That's perfect there. So we got a couple more here. Jason, one for you. Was Jason taking any college courses while playing juniors? If so, how many classes?
That is a great question. So yes, when I got to Billings, Montana, the junior team I was playing for had some rules in terms of they didn't want us just sitting around all day when it came to hockey. That we had a workout each day and then a practice each day. But between that, if you were not in high school, you either expected to have some type of part-time job or preferably taking some college courses. So I actually did both. I was working part-time at the time at a Target near the rink, luckily. And then actually I was taking, I believe, 2 online classes per semester just to stay in that school mentality and make sure you weren't getting out of the habit of doing homework and staying motivated. But I did that both my years. So I was able to end up transferring, I believe, anywhere between 5 to 10 of my courses that I took throughout juniors into college. And it actually really helped. It got me through a lot of those gen ed courses at the beginning.
Hey, Greg, could I just do a quick follow-up on that?
Absolutely. Yeah.
Because Jason's right on with that. Like, if you're playing junior hockey, I mean, if you're not in high school, it's strongly recommended that you take a college class or 2. But there is an eligibility rule. So basically, what the NCAA rule is, and the ACHA follows a lot of those rules. But the NCAA Division I, they have a clock for eligibility, as does ACHA Division I. And they give you 5 years to play 4 at the NCAA level. And once your clock starts, you cannot stop that eligibility clock. And what triggers that clock to start is when you start full-time in college. So if you are playing junior hockey, just for this, our participants on this call to know, if you're playing junior hockey, definitely strongly recommend that you take some colleges. Make sure you're a part-time student. You can accumulate as many credit hours as you can as a part-time student, and that will not affect your athletic eligibility.
Yep. Perfect. Awesome. Thank you both. Okay, so I have a couple more for Erica real quick. This one, Erica mentioned the deadline to submit Fafsa is in March. When can the family expect to receive results? And then just following up on that, it's kind of unrelated, but if you have 2 kids going to school, would you submit 2 Fafsa forms or just 1?
Okay, so you would submit 2 FAFSA forms. So each student fills out their own FAFSA. So if you have 2 students in college, you'll be filling out 2 separate FAFSAs. And then in terms of a timeline, when you hear back, it depends on the school. So depending on when you're admitted, so just depending on what colleges you're applying to, you might apply early action or early decision, so you'll find out you're admitted earlier. Usually the sooner you're admitted, the sooner you'll hear about your financial aid. The financial aid office, usually we first wait to see if a student is admitted, and then we immediately look at their FAFSA and offer their financial aid. So if you'll be admitted in, let's say, February, then you might be awarded financial aid in March. But you don't have to worry about the timing. I know the deadline isn't until March, so if you're admitted in December, it's a good idea to start getting that FAFSA filled out, but we're awarding all year long. So don't stress too much about the timing, but you will always find out how much financial aid you have before you need to make your decision on which college you're going to be attending. So that decision deadline is May 1st. That's when you need to decide which college you're going to. And so you will always receive all of your financial aid award letters before May 1st.
Great, perfect. Thank you, Erica. Okay, one real quick for Vanessa. It says, for admission, should I take the ACT or SAT?
So for Cal State Fullerton, I believe for all Cal States in general, we are test blind. So we're not referring to admissions for SAT, ACT, and that's along with eligibility index. But if you are considering other campuses besides the CSU system, please look at their admissions requirements because they may be following a different policy. But for Cal State Fullerton, we are not.
Chapman is also test blind. You don't
Okay,
have to
awesome.
take them.
All right, thank you. And then looks like we hit 2 o'clock here, but I'll just do one last one. It's for Craig Barnett. It says, with the success and growth of the Anaheim Ducks High School Hockey League, have you seen an influx of players from California?
Absolutely have. I mentioned in my talk about at the NCAA level, the success that Western Michigan had years and years ago. But from ACHA, we have an abundance of California residents that compete at the ACHA level. Certainly, California kids that coming through the youth leagues, the 16U, the 18Us, with the California Titans, the Junior Ducks, the LA Junior Kings. Sorry to mention that name on the Anaheim Ducks. But those teams are so strong, and specifically to the Anaheim High School League, I've been fortunate to attend the USA Hockey America Showcase every year and present there as well. And the representation of California high school players that partake at the America Showcase is fantastic. So absolutely, only continue to grow.
Excellent. All right. Thanks, Craig. All right. Well, we are a little bit over. So just a reminder that all of the questions and answers from the Q&A will be typed up, sent out to all attendees. Additionally, the webinar was recorded. This whole webinar that we just concluded was recorded, and that recording will be posted on ducksgold.com. That's our website. And a link to the video will be sent to all attendees as well. So we'll provide a link right to that video. The video will be hosted on our website there. That being said, I think that concludes this event. So I just want to take a quick second, thank the Anaheim Ducks High School Hockey League, as well as all of our panelists for joining us today. Thank you all. I think we got some great information, and we appreciate you spending time with us today.